Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Guess what? Your 401k is now 40 years of age. Does that mean it's over the hill?
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the WorryFree Retirement, with offices in Louisville and Bowling Green. Your host, five-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
Welcome to the WorryFree Retirement. I've been covering my book, Don't Follow the Herd, these last few weeks, and we're going to still stay with it, folks. In fact, we're on mistake number 3. This is an excerpt from Don't Follow the Herd, a book I wrote right after the major correction of the stock market in 2008. It's called Risking the Cow Instead of the Milk. You see, back in 1978, two things happened coincidentally. My grandfather retired after 43 years with Bell South in 1978 to start drawing his beloved mailbox money, as he called it. And also, ironically, the 401k was enacted into law. Now, since that time, it's interesting. Look at this graph. Over the years, the number of pension plans has drastically reduced. You see that? Now look at the next column. Because the pension plans have reduced, coincidingly, the 401ks has increased. Now you say, well, who's behind all that, Tony? The 40-year birthday and all that stuff. What's going on here? Well, the reason the Wall Street's celebrating the 40th year birthday of the 401k is look how much money has moved from Main Street to Wall Street. Look at the mutual fund industry. Folks, they have now trillions of dollars of money. Now, first of all, I'm not deriding the mutual fund industry. I'm just showing that there is truly a conflict of interest here, because you've been taught since 1978 to put as much money as you can in the 401k. Then we say, yeah, that's a pretty good savings vehicle, especially if you get a nice match. I'm all for that. But this thing is a lousy planning tool, and in the meantime, Wall Street collects fees without any skin in the game. Think about that. In fact, this article, it's funny in the book, when this was written in 2010, I talk about in 2007 how the Dow was at an all-time high then. You may have remembered those times. It was in the 14,000 range. And I was kind of warning people, hey, you think you ought to take a little winnings off the table. The Dow's pretty high. It could go down. What did most people do that I talked to? They kind of hung in there. The problem is when that Dow dropped, it dropped so quickly, many people didn't know what to do. You had one of two choices, basically. You could take a huge loss and get out, which that's probably not the best choice, or you had to hang in there and wait it out. And for savers, this was a terrible time of worry. But here we are again. Look at this article. Now, keep in mind, we're recording the show today on November 13th, 2018. This article from Retirement Fox Business by Leah Klingel was published November 6th, just about a week ago, right? And listen to the title, Retirement Account Balances Hit Record High. Sound familiar? 2007, 2018. And you know, ironically, what happened just yesterday on November 12th? The Dow tumbled 600 points. Now, what's interesting, this article goes on and on about how more people have more money in their 401ks, and I ask you a question. Let's throw up a pop quiz here. Of the answer, I want you to pick one of these answers. The average 401k balance, according to this article and according to a T. Rowe Price study and Fidelity study, would you think is A, $10,000, B, $50,000, C, $106,000, or D, $183,000? Now, quite frankly, I work in this area all the time. I would have thought the answer was probably D, closer to around 183. It's only 106,000. Now, interestingly enough, the number of millionaires in the 401k has gone up. That's 187,000, up from 133,000 people that have $1 million in their 401k from last year. But I look at that and I say, well, duh, that's because the market's gone up. But folks, as we're going to see, all of this stuff, your 401k right now is all on paper. If we have another downturn like 08, you're back down to, even if you got $1 million, 700, 600,000, and worse yet, Wall Street has been charging fees on the whole kit and caboodle. Plus, what do you got on the end? You know, a tax tumor. So here's what we're talking about. The third mistake a lot of people make, especially when things are going good, it's really hard to take some of those winnings off the table. And what happens is, especially if you're retired or nearing retirement, here's what I found. It is very imperative that you realize you've got to start protecting that cow. What's the cow? That cow is the majority of your money that's producing milk, or what we call income. So when I come back, I'm going to show you a very, very simple yet ingenious way to protect the cow. And yeah, we might be willing to risk the milk, but if we had to choose one or the other, what would you rather risk? The milk, or you want to risk the cow? You want to kill the goose that laid the golden egg, or are you okay risking a little bit of the eggs and protecting the goose? You're going to find out how we have become so successful in protecting our clients' money and how we can help you too. Let me get the whiteboard out. I'll be right back. Tired of getting up every day and heading off to work with no end in sight? I'm retirement specialist Tony Walker, and I've helped lots of people retire much sooner than they ever thought possible, and maybe I can help you do the same.
If you're over the age of 50 and have at least $250,000 to invest, schedule your free meeting with Tony to see if you can retire sooner than you think. Simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Are you retired or retiring soon? Do you have a 401k, IRA, thrift savings account, 403b, or lump sum pension that you'd like to move to safer territory? Did you know that all the money you see on your 401k statement isn't really yours? Depending on your overall taxable income, the government has essentially a lien on your 401k that can tax as much as 40% of your money when you go to take it out. Tony Walker calls this the 401k tax tumor. For over 33 years, retirement specialist Tony Walker has helped thousands of savers worry less about money by creating game plans to deal with your tax tumor. Get control of your retirement by controlling the taxes owed on it. Schedule a free meeting to see if you can reduce your tax tumor and provide a guaranteed income you can never outlive. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Tired of the roller coaster ride of the stock market? Let Tony Walker show you how to smooth out the ride with your money. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started.
What about this? If you had a choice between being the top scientist in your field or getting mad cow disease, what would it be?
Well, of course I would choose to be the top scientist in my field.
Oh, good. I was worried you'd choose mad cow.
And now it's time for Tony in the Trenches.
Welcome back to the WorryFree Retirement. Our Tony in the Trenches comes from Rosemary in Bowling Green, Kentucky. She's a regular watcher of the show. Thank you for watching, Rosemary. By the way, thanks for everybody that watches the show. Appreciate your comments very much. And of course, those who decide to come meet with me, we really do appreciate your confidence in us. But anyway, Rosemary was in the office the other day, and she said, Tony, I really enjoyed the show on the Roth conversions, but I felt like you didn't really summarize where you were going with that. And in fact, you even did the tax calculation didn't seem to match up with what you were doing. So I guess I need to preface something. A lot of times when we're throwing stuff out here, we're talking conceptual. The concepts are trying to see if it's something you think fits your situation. And with any financial advisor on TV, radio, even yours truly, you have to be really careful to take that information and act on it. That's why you need to meet with us in person, even stuff here that sounds good. We want to make sure that it fits your situation. But I went back and looked at the tape, and Rosemary was right. It just kind of ended. And I thought I'd take just a few minutes. This is really good stuff. Again, this is about Roth conversions. If you're just now joining us or didn't see the previous episode, basically a Roth conversion is where you take a taxable IRA, 401k, thrift savings account, something that's qualified for tax savings, but you haven't paid the tax on it. And you're trying to figure out how to deal with this darn tax tumor that now is exposing itself. So here's the illustration. I'm going to walk through it in a little more detail. And again, and this is feedback from Rosemary. We're imagining that we have an IRA balance of $300,000. And in this example, the goal, you don't have to do this. This is just a goal to try to keep it below the 12% tax bracket. We talked about the new Trump tax plan and how many people will fall into a 12% bracket. So it goes from 10 to 12. It may not be exactly 12, but let's assume you're exactly in the 12% bracket. So obviously 12% of $30,000, you'd have to pay a tax of $3,600 on that conversion. Now you might say, where's the best place to get that tax, Tony? Do I take it out of the IRA? No, you don't do that. In this example, we imagine, and you'll see why I brought this number up, we imagine you had $36,000 sitting in the bank. It's just sitting there earning no interest. That's the best place to take the money. You want to take money from the least producing asset to pay the tax. So let's go through this real quick. All I'm doing, I'm assuming this account earns 0%, just so you can see the numbers. Again, it drops to $270. We take $30,000 out of the $270, right? Again, then the balance of the savings account drops to $32,400. I won't do this all the way down. We'd be here all day. But we keep doing that. So it drops to $270. Year 3, my cheat notes here, $240,000 is left in the IRA. We convert another 30, right? The government wants their $3,600 in taxes, assuming a 12% bracket. Your savings that's being used to pay the tax drops down. So if we can, so we slide all the way down, and the idea is this would be your last year. Actually, we go to year 11. You'd have nothing left in your IRA. That's because everything's been converted to a Roth, okay? So assuming no growth, we're just trying to figure out where the numbers went. Now after 10 years, you would have the $300,000 in a Roth, completely tax-free forever, okay? We're going to, we've covered this before, but basically the idea is we're trying to deal with a tax tumor. Now all the growth, you don't have to have minimum distributions, all the growth is tax-free, and when you pass away, all of that goes to the kids. So in this example, all of the savings was spent, so that's gone forever. You do have to account for that cost. That's the money that went to pay the taxes, and of course, you have all the taxes owed, which again, basically was the $36,000 plus whatever interest. So we didn't put any interest on this. If you're really trying to do what we call a macroeconomic look at this, all of this would have to have interest. We could do it. But I hope, Rosemary, this helps. So the idea is, this is optional, but what we can help you with, and we do this a lot with our split IRA concepts, is try to determine, first of all, is a Roth conversion right for you? And then actually, how is that going to be paid, that tax that's due on the Roth conversion? All right, back to some of our information. Again, today's, what we're doing here is talking about trying not to risk the cow. Remember the theme of our show. We're covering the book, Don't Follow the Herd. We're in mistake number 3, not risking the cow, but risking the milk. All right. So in order to get our other side of our magic board in place, I'm going to do my little magic snap. All right. The magic board. Isn't this amazing? All right. So what we're talking about is how do these insurance companies with these products called fixed indexed annuities, how can they protect the cow but instead risk the milk? What's going on here? Well, a lot of people, these indexed annuities came out in the late 90s. We began providing those to our clients right after 9/11. Since that time, we're one of the leading writers of these products in the country. Folks, if you're thinking about buying an annuity, you've got an old annuity, you've been to a dinner seminar pitching annuities, there's a lot of people on TV talking about the market going up, never goes down. They're talking about fixed indexed annuities. And the beauty of this product is I will meet with you in person to make sure we understand the product first of all and make sure it's right for you. But how do they work? Why is this product so ingenious? Okay, I'm going to use an example. Okay, we're imagining, it's not a real good house, but we're imagining that you own a home. Okay, draw a little chimney there, maybe a few little bushes. And let's just say your home is worth, you've had it recently appraised, it's worth $100,000. All right, and let's say I'm a real estate developer and I approach you out of the blue and I say, hey, I've got a deal for you. I'm going to give you $5,000, all right? It's called an option. I'm going to give you an option, and I'm going to give you $5,000. Now, keep in mind, I've got quite a bit of money. Let's say I'm a huge real estate developer. I got properties all over. I got plenty of cash to do this. And I'm going to give you $5,000 in exchange that I have 365 days to decide if I'm going to buy it for $250,000. Now, first of all, let's say you and Martha are at home and I walk up on the porch and I'm making this proposition. You're thinking, this is the craziest guy I've ever heard of. Basically, we know the house is worth $100. He's offering to give us $250, and he's even going to give us $5,000 to boot for this something called an option. And you're thinking, what a sucker. Fine, they take my money, right? Okay. So remember, this option lasts for 365 days. Listen closely, because this is going to really help you understand how annuities work. So on the 364th day, all right, I'm going to drive, this is supposed to be a limousine, all right? Big car pulls up to your drive, and a gentleman walks up to your porch in a three-piece suit, and he says, hello, I'm from XYZ Corporation, and we're looking to build a large franchise restaurant that we have all over the country. We want to put it right here where your house is. And you and Martha look at each other and you go, wow, but it's not for sale. And he says, well, we're willing to pay you, listen to this, we're willing to pay you $1 million today for your house. And you tell Martha, let's take it. And Martha says, hey, wait a minute. What about that guy in the little sweater vest that came up here and offered us $250? Can we sell it? Well, think about it. Can you? I'm quizzing you there, folks. Put the dog, wait, don't take the dog out just yet. All right, I have an option to buy this for $250,000. The option lasts 365 days. XYZ Corporation walks onto your porch, offers to give you $1 million. There's one more day left on this option. You cannot sell it. I turn around and I say, I think I want to exercise that option. Maybe I've gotten wind that XYZ Corporation wants your house. You have to sell it to me for $250,000. I turn around and sell it to XYZ for $1 million, I make $750,000. Now, what was my risk? This is the important part. I'm the investor. What was my risk here? The only risk I had was the $5,000. We like to call that the milk, right? The cow, that's my huge principle out here I've got to work with. The milk, the $5,000, was the only thing I had at risk, because here's what would happen. At the end of that 365 days, if I did not buy your house, granted, you got to keep the $5,000, but my only risk was the $5,000. This is called an option. You might be saying, Tony, this is the goofiest thing I've ever heard of. What does this have to do with these fixed indexed annuities you keep talking about? Folks, this is the beauty and the genius behind a fixed indexed annuity. You see, insurance companies have billions of dollars. They're investing in very, very safe stuff. They're the cow. They're protecting your money. Their job is protection. They're not putting this in the stock market. So when we say that it's going to be linked to the market, what they're doing is they're taking their dividends from their bonds, that's their, let's call that the milk, and they're buying options in the stock market, and they do this generally over a year period of time. So for instance, let's put up my wife's contract here, and we showed you this last week. This is what she has, and notice every December 18th, her fixed indexed annuity comes up for renewal. I took this out for her last year. And in this example, they exercised the options, the market was up, and she made right at $7,500. Now you say, well, Tony, what happens next year if the market tanks? She will not lose a penny of that money. Now here's the other part that's ingenious. So let's just say that happens. So my wife put that money in, the next year it went up, it's now worth $107,500, and let's just say next year the market goes down again. She will not lose a penny. So she keeps her floor, and let's say the market bounces back up again. In this case, let's say it's exactly right at 7.5%. It goes up again, and this keeps happening. So the fixed indexed annuity, it's a wonderful tool. And if you're a saver and you're trying to protect that cow and figure out a way to make that milk work for you without risking the cow, you got to check these out. Now, I've written a great little booklet. It's called the Annuity Decision Guide for Savers. You got to check it out. It's absolutely free. You just go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and you can download this booklet. Once you read the booklet, believe me, you're going to see the merits. There's basically 4 different types of annuities, and this one's discussed. And then what you need to do is go back, go to the website, click on that Let's Get Started, and let's meet. If you've got money in the bank, if you've got an old annuity, if you've got a 401k, you're thinking about retiring, this could be your ticket for protecting the cow. Check it out at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Well, what does the Bible have to say about this whole notion of protecting the cow and risking the milk. And what if there was one asset you could purchase that would guarantee you would be worry-free from now on? Just one purchase. How much of your money would you put into this one investment? Wise words coming up from Jesus, but I got to get me a cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Can you afford for your money to take a hit with the stock market being so volatile these days? Nobody can time the market, but having a retirement game plan with Tony Walker Financial gives you peace of mind and sleep insurance. Learn how to prevent losses in your retirement accounts and plan your retirement around an income you can never outlive. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com today to schedule a personal meeting with Tony to secure your hard-earned money. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Annuities. Some people love them and some people hate them. Regardless of how you feel about annuities, one thing's for sure, annuities are the only financial product that can guarantee an income you can never outlive. I'm Tony Walker, and regardless of whether you're thinking about buying an annuity or you have a current annuity that you would like me to review, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Since 9/11, we've written over 2,500 annuities, and we can help you by getting started now. Tired of getting up every day and heading off to work with no end in sight? I'm retirement specialist Tony Walker, and I've helped lots of people retire much sooner than they ever thought possible, and maybe I can help you do the same.
If you're over the age of 50 and have at least $250,000 to invest, schedule your free meeting with Tony to see if you can retire sooner than you think. Simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement with the money missionary himself, Tony Walker.
What are you willing to risk to get what you want? Since this is a financial show and since I've been in the financial trenches over 34 years, it does amaze me that savers are willing to risk so much money when in many cases they don't need to. You know, the problem is we're human and we forget that what we have today, whether it's a spouse, a child, dogs. By the way, our family has lost 3 dogs in the last 12 months. Talking about grueling to deal with that. But anyway, money, possessions, friends, all these things, in the end, folks, we cannot keep. In other words, no matter how big your hat or how much cattle you've got, one day you and I are going to die, and that hat, those cattle, all that stuff's got to stay behind. These things that we cherish so deeply are truly temporary. Now, the reason I love the book of Ecclesiastes so much, and I quote it on the show frequently, is because it was written by the richest man who ever lived, King Solomon, a man that had every earthly kingdom like nobody's business. He had all the stuff, and in the end he said, you know what? It's all vanity. It's all futility. He realized in the end all of this stuff meant nothing unless you could figure out a way to use and enjoy it. So we got a dilemma. We got to build up our earthly kingdoms. I'm all about that. That's the relationships we have with others, the relationship we have to our money and possessions. But we also have to be concerned about what happens when we die and this heavenly kingdom the Bible keeps talking about. That's the one that I think deep down everybody really wants to know about. Now, Jesus was talking about this very same issue of chasing after wealth. And let's turn, Aaron, to Matthew 13:44, where he says the following. The kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking fine pearls. And upon finding one pearl of great value, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. As well, Proverbs 13:11, very interesting what it says here. Proverbs 13:11 says that wealth obtained by fraud dwindles. That means if you're trying to get rich quick or invest in risky things you don't understand, it can almost be fraudulent. In other words, you're lying to yourself. Proverbs 13:11 goes on to say, but the one who gathers by labor, that means the one that works hard, stays the course, is patient, that person with steady labor will increase their wealth. You know, we've been talking about cows, we've been talking about Farmer Brown, protecting the cow, being willing to risk the milk. You know, there's plenty of milk for Mr. and Miss Brown in our example. That's because they understood that they had to be patient, They couldn't be greedy. They couldn't be anxious. They couldn't be carried away with the pursuit of things. And they certainly didn't want to kill the goose that laid the golden egg. So Jesus is really asking this question. What are you willing to sell out? In other words, what are you willing to risk to get all these temporary things of this world? And if there was a way, listen closely, if there was a way to purchase something that would guarantee, I use the word guarantee there, guarantee you eternal life, in other words, a heavenly kingdom, would you prefer to invest everything you had in that? That was the parable of the person that found the pearl. They sold everything they could to get this pearl. Well, hopefully your answer is yes, and that's the good news, because Jesus has already paid this price. He's already sacrificed everything. In other words, He's willing to hand over the keys to the eternal kingdom to you and I if we simply believe, not by blind faith, but by real faith, like the merchant who recognized the value of that pearl. So what does this have to do with money, Tony? It has everything to do with money because you've got choices. You got to make a decision at some point, folks. We've been talking a lot about your money, how much money you're willing to risk. And some of you, especially if you're a saver, what I've found is there's no reason to be taking all of this risk. You're potentially selling out all of your hard work, blindly investing and chasing in things, and yes, you're risking the proverbial cow. So what do? Well, the first thing you do is meet with me in person. All I do day in and day out is meet with savers. I literally meet with 20 to 30 savers per week. I know the saver, I know how much they want to protect their money, and I can show you how to use and enjoy that money without the fear of running out of it. So it's easy to do. Just go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Once there, you're going to click on that Let's Get Started button. That information is confidentially sent to our office. We will then contact you and arrange a mutually convenient time for you and I to sit down in either our Bowling Green or Louisville, Kentucky office. As well at TonyWalkerFinancial.com, there's lots of downloads. You could go to our YouTube channel, plenty of information so you can find out about us and the way that we help savers worry less about money. So log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. But between now and next week, between now and the next time we chat, you remember, if all else fails, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.
Thank you for watching the Worry-Free Retirement with Tony Walker. If you need a safe and simple game plan for your retirement, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and schedule a free, no-obligation meeting with Tony.